All right, everybody, Rachel again, and I want to do some quick lightning talks for you about some awesome fantasy books that are available in our digital downloads collection. And I actually am going to be including links to all of these so that you can go straight to our catalog and see if they are available right now. The first one that I want to talk to you about is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. And the Graveyard Book is about Bod Owens, short for Nobody, who has had a bit of an odd childhood. Unless you consider being raised by ghosts in a graveyard after your whole family is murdered to be normal, which I don't. But as a foster child of the ghosts, Mr. and Mrs. Owens, Bod also has what is called the freedom of the graveyard, which allows him to pass through solid objects while he is in the graveyard. So it's kind of like a Jungle Book type origin story, but set in a graveyard with a lot of shorter stories about Bod's adventures growing up. But it all kind of comes to a head when Bod's freedom and his very life are actually threatened by the man Jack, who is the one who murdered his family when he was a toddler, because Jack has realized that he has missed one member of the family, and now he is looking to remedy his mistake. That is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. All right, next, Fable Haven by Brandon Mull, the first in a series that also has a spin-off series as well called Dragon Watch that you may have heard of. But this is the original one. So this is Fable Haven, and it is about Kendra Sorensen and her younger brother Seth, and they don't know their grandparents very well. They almost never come to visit, and Kendra and Seth never go to visit them. In fact, sometimes it seems like their grandparents really don't want them to come visit, but they don't have a choice when Kendra and Seth's parents go on a cruise. So at first, Kendra and Seth don't notice anything particularly strange about their grandparents' place, which is located in a huge nature preserve. But it isn't long before they discover what seems to be a regular nature preserve is actually a secret preserve for magical creatures, and that Kendra and Seth have arrived there just in time for the most dangerous night of the year. So that is book one in the Fable Haven series, Fable Haven by Brandon Mull. Next up, Bob by Wendy Mass and Rebecca Stead. So meet Bob. Bob is an unidentified short green creature who has been hiding in a closet for 5 years wearing nothing but a chicken suit. Livy, on the other hand, is returning to her grandma's house for the first time in 5 years, and she can't escape the nagging feeling that she's forgotten about something until she opens the closet door. So the last thing Livy told Bob before leaving her grandma's was to hide in the closet and that she would be right back. So Bob obediently hid, even though right back ended up being quite a bit longer than he anticipated. He has been patiently waiting for Livy to fulfill her promise of helping get him back home to his family. But the only problem is, how can Livy help him when she forgets all about him the minute he is out of her sight? That's another great one. Bob by Wendy Mass and Rebecca Stead. Quick read there. All right, next up, The Alchemist by Michael Scott. And a lot of you might be familiar with the name Nicholas Flamel from the Harry Potter books, but not everyone realizes that Nicholas Flamel was an actual person who lived a long time ago. And even back then, there was a lot of strange rumors that surrounded him. And so that has caused him to be a character in a lot of book series, a lot of modern day book series, such as this one. So in this series, Nicholas Flamel kind of takes center stage. He is the alchemist, a near immortal man who has been using the Philosopher's Stone to prolong his and his wife's lives, while also doing battle through the years with the forces of evil. And teenage twins Josh and Sophie somehow find themselves in the middle of this battle and end up on the run with the Flamels while having their latent magical powers awakened. So this is a fun series, and first in the series again, and all 6 books in the series are out right now, so it could be a fun binge read. This is a fun series, though, because you're going to see a lot of names you recognize from history making appearance as characters. So that's The Alchemist, and one more, an oldie but oh so goodie, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. And I wanted to talk about this one because a lot of times it seems like the classics get overlooked. So I had to throw out this plug for what was my favorite fantasy series as a kid, The Chronicles of Narnia. And so the adventure begins when Lucy, hiding in a wardrobe during a game of hide and seek, accidentally stumbles into a magical land ruled over by an evil witch. It might sound pretty basic, but you might not realize that a lot of the fantasy stories that you read and love today were inspired by the Chronicles of Narnia. They're kind of standing on the shoulders of C.S. Lewis and this series. And although you might be familiar with this particular story due to movies or just popular culture, there are 6 other stories in the series that are just as great but less famous that definitely deserve your attention. So that is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And that finishes up your fantasy series Lightning Book Talks. And I will be back soon to do some lightning book talks for you guys about traditional literature. Thanks, everybody.